Now, social media scandals have raised concerns on how employees behave online, as it can ultimately affect the employer and the brand reputation. I'm now joined in our Cape Town studios by Gillian Wallman. She's the head of litigation risk at Risk Benefit Solutions. Gillian, thank you for making the time to join us. Before we start talking about how do we mitigate these risks, perhaps let's take a step back and just get an understanding of what constitutes risky commentary today, and has this changed over time?
Absolutely. We've seen a huge increase in the technology in the workplace, and it's created concerns for both employers and employees. As opposed to 10 years ago, we've all got access to email and internet access now, and the workplace has more and more been exposed. With social media, individuals now have, and groups have suddenly got ways and a new ability to voice their opinions through the media. And while technology can be praised in many ways for helping a business, it also raises concerns that previously did not exist.
Is there an encroachment on the private space here, Gillian, with what should be considered as personal views? Why is that line between what is private and what is within the corporate space seemingly disappearing?
Well, certainly everyone, as I said, has a voice to their opinion. Certainly, the companies need to make sure that their employees are acting in the best interest. And when it starts affecting the business itself and bringing the reputation of the business down, that's when employers can take steps into their hands. But they also need to respect that we have, employees have a right to they don't contravene the laws to human rights.
And if we just take a look at the Gareth Cliff example, perhaps one that is still top of mind for many South Africans, what do you think are the biggest lessons that both employees and employers can draw from this?
Well, that was quite a good example, and it's not the only one that's been in the media lately. Certainly, employers need to make sure that they keep up to date with social media websites. And be careful, again, as I said, not to violate any laws pertaining to human rights, because there is that law. Sharing information through social media, people need to be trained, and managers need to be update these social media platforms so that they can take quick reactions if the social media, their reputation is at risk.
Are there risk processes and risk management that the employer could look at to perhaps buffer themselves so that they don't have to deal with some of these social media spillovers?
Absolutely. If we take a look at some of the platforms that open up the new risks, as I said, we look at reputation. We also look at employment risks. We've seen a lot of, especially in the United States, where employees are, before they're even interviewed, their social media websites are accessed, and they use that in terms of hiring or not hiring. It also opens for security risks as well as intellectual property and media risks. And companies need to obviously take risk management processes into consideration. And my biggest thing of all is never become complacent in terms of risk management. You have to keep on your toes because everything happens. Our technology is changing day by day, and things need to be kept up to date. Comprehensive assessments need to be done on the general social media activity out there. And they need to identify any potential risks that may be out there.
What is the law?
Identify key players with.
Gillian, just to jump into there, I think you're making great insights there. But what is the position of the law in South Africa when it comes to using social media profiles as a part of the decision-making process, especially when it comes to hiring practices?
There is no law pertaining to that, but obviously it's used at the employer's discretion. And employers need to be careful that they do not fall under the discrimination legal battle. So certainly things need to be done, and as I said, you need to have a risk management process in place to make sure that you don't contravene any human rights human rights regulations.
I want to come back to what we've often seen on Twitter, where people would use a disclaimer to indicate that their views are their own and they are not a reflection of the corporates that they work for. Has that become null and void? Is that not sufficient anymore when you are tweeting in particular?
Look, I think putting a disclaimer on has its advantages and disadvantages. By the thing that you're trying to protect your company, yes, you are viewing the fact that their opinion doesn't constitute anything that you believe, or the company's morals, but also, it also attracts a light that maybe people want to look at more as to why a company has put this disclaimer on. So again, I think it has its pros and cons.
And just as a final thought, as a potential employee maybe about to start employment at a particular corporate, if I were to ask for their social media policy, what should I be looking for me to get a sense from that policy that this company takes social media etiquette quite seriously?
Well, I think every company should have some sort of social media policy. And yes, you need to interact because social media is very widespread today, and the fact that you're at work and then you go home, it doesn't mean that you're not exposed to social media, because whatever you do at home could expose you within your company. And a social agreement training needs to be provided to employees or employers to make sure that they keep up to date with that, and make sure their staff know what and what they cannot do, because at the end of the day it's going to damage your reputation as well as the company's.
Gillian, thank you for your time. That's Gillian Wallman. She's the head of litigation risk at Risk Benefit Solutions.